Now let me demystify what a business model is. So to do that, it is important to understand that any business model have 4 basic components, right? The 4 basic components is basically the who, what, how, and why. So those questions are answered by a business model, okay? So we already know it's a vehicle to get you from where you are to where you want to be. So let's talk about the who. The who is the customer, your target market, for example, and how you're going to get to them in terms of the market, how you're going to get your products, services, whatever to them, what are these products and services going to look like. So your value proposition is what you offer to them. And this is basically looking at the pain points of those customers and linking your offering to those pain points and what they stand to gain from your offering. So you've got to link those things to your market, and then you've got a what to deliver, right? So then the next one is your value chain, or how are you going to get this to your customer? And business model disruptions are disrupting any one of these that is unusual to an industry, and that is how it disrupts. I'm going to give you one example of something that you know very well. So the value chains, how do you produce your offerings, and how do you get it to your customer, and how do you get it also from your supplier? So that whole process there, depending on your business model, can be either expensive or very cheap in exactly the same industry. The next one is why. Why do you do it? You do it to make a profit. So the question is, how are you going to make a profit out of all of this, right? So that profit mechanism, is it due to increased productivity because you've got a unique way of doing things, that you shift some of the expensive out of your business because of your innovation in your business model that will give you better profit than what your competitors are getting, and in that way you can actually be more competitive. So the profit mechanism is also a very important dimension in your business model. Now what I want to explain here is something very interesting, and I'm going to do that in terms of an example, actually a very old example. So before supermarkets existed, people would stand in a queue at the counter, and the person at the other side of the counter, they would give them a list and say, I want one bread, a coffee, 3 liters of milk. They would give them a list, like a shopping list, and then they would go, there would be shelves behind them, and then they would go and pick those items for you from those shelves and bring it to the counter. You would then pay, and then take it into a bag, home, or whatever, right? So that is how the shopping experience before supermarkets. Then supermarkets came and they said, no, wait, there might be a very interesting way to do business, or a better way. And so they innovated the business model and said, okay, right, what if we change how our customers experience shopping? So what if they can walk in these shelves, and someone would put up their hand and say, but wait, we can't do that. They're going to steal the stuff there in the shelves. They're going to steal it there, and then we are not going to get paid for that. So that's a problem for us. I said, no, let's try it. So, there was a mind shift. So that's the innovation, because people would say, no, we can't do that. People are going to steal. They're going to shoplift, right? I said, no, but let's try it, okay? And then they tried it, okay? And it was hugely successful, because suddenly they have leverage. But what did they change? They changed how you are going to offer the value chain. They changed that, how they offer the value proposition to the client. Still the same value proposition, but the client is now part of the shopping experience. And that's, until now, we are used to that process. That's how we used to shop now. Because what does it do? It drops the expenses in terms of people serving you. So you can have much larger stores with fewer staff and more people. And what technology is there? No technological change, nothing. So it's not only technology that brings business model innovation. It is just a different way of doing things that might cut a lot of costs and make yourself a lot more competitive. So that is a change in business models. One of the early business model disruptions that was seen in those industries, in the retail industry. And just one small change. It looks very small on paper, but it's actually a huge change in customer experience. But that change brought about a business model innovation and a revolution in the way that people shop. Okay, so that is interesting. Now, you can change any one of the 4 elements of a business model that is unusual for your industry in order to create a disruption in that industry. And then your competitors will follow suit. So recently, another business model would be, the Uber business model. Yes, there's a lot of issues around Uber and a lot of news around it. But regardless of that, what are they doing? Just think about it. They took a very old industry, the taxi industry, and just disrupted it. Just in a way, again, disrupting the value chain of how they offer the service and the product to the customer, right? But what they actually did is they are a platform. They don't own any cars, so they reduced that cost completely. They are only a platform. So the platform is the one thing they changed. There might be a few other things as well combined in this, but suddenly they don't have the capital intensity in order to deliver a service to the customers, actually the same service. And other people would own the cars, other people would be the drivers. They don't work for them. That's the orchestrator business model that they applied. Now, as you can see, by just changing one thing, you can actually disrupt an industry. And another way to disrupt an industry is to actually look at other industries and see and ask, maybe that business model can apply here. Let's think about that and maybe test it as well. Okay, and be open to that. And that is basically, remember why I say be open to that is because, remember, there would be that one guy or one woman, whoever, who would have put up their hands and said, no, people are going to shoplift. I haven't covered that. So how did they cover shoplifting? The fact that people shoplift, because we know people do that, right? Now, the statistics from the industry says that around 1% of people are actually shoplifting, or they lose actually 1% of the value in a shop due to shoplifting. Let's say over a month period or so. But that's basically the statistic. So the question is, so you are going to employ people who cost you more than that 1%. So there's a cost element to both, to the shoplifting aspect or people employed. So they have also implemented other mechanisms like CCTV cameras and guards at the door. But many years ago, there were no CCTV cameras. So they only would have guards at the door. And if you go to other countries where the national culture is more of an honest culture, people would even do self-checkout with technology, where there's not even a guard at the door. And people are just honest. They pay for what they took out of the store. Again, there might be the odd person that do shoplifting as well, but that percentage might be a lot less than what the cost is to monitor, the theft. Right. So this is how we look at business models. There's a cost to everything, and we understand that, and we look at how the things change. If we change things around in our business model, how the things at the end of the day will change in terms of our costing, our profitability, and all of that in a business.